या नहीं, कल फैसला होगा इस देश में लोकतंत्र जीवित है या नहीं, और कल ये भी फैसला होगा कि हमारी न्याय व्यवस्था किसी दबाव में काम कर रही है नहीं।
मैं बस यही हूं कि कानून व्यवस्था पे देश के यकीन है, न्याय व्यवस्था पे यकीन है, सत्यमेव जयते होगा, संविधान की जीत होगी, पूरा विश्वास है। और इससे ज्यादा मैं कुछ कहना नहीं चाहूंगी, क्योंकि अभी निकाल कुछ दिनों में आता ही होगा। वो खुद अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल स्पीकर हैं। जिस तरीके से उनका खुद का चुनाव हुआ है उसको ही हमने चैलेंज किया हुआ है सुप्रीम कोर्ट में, तो वो किस हक से बोल रहे हैं मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा है।
CNN News 18's Mumbai Bureau Chief Vinaya Deshpande and our correspondent Yasha Kotak are joining us on this story. Vinaya, coming to you first, what can be expected in the Supreme Court today?
Good morning, Anjali. Yes, it is an important day today, and several key constitutional issues are something on which clarity will be sought. Remember, there are 10 points on which the Supreme Court is expected to give its verdict today, and why it is important is it will decide not just the several constitutional tangles that have come up after the sudden change of government in Maharashtra, but also one of the pleas in the petition was the seeking of disqualification of 16 MLAs, including Chief Minister Eknath Shinde. Now, it remains to be seen as to what that judgment will be and whether the court will give any specific directions with request to the prayer that has been given about the disqualification, because that will have ramifications on the state government. As of now, what we are able to understand through the number games, Anjali, though, is that whatever be the verdict with respect to the disqualification. Now, remember, there are 10 separate points about which the verdict is going to talk. One of them is Schedule 10. Another is also about raising questions on the governor's decision, and thereafter the vote that took place which led to the overturning of the previous government. Uddhav Thackeray had already resigned by then. But what today will be of significance for Maharashtra and of immediate importance is, apart from the observations that the Supreme Court makes with respect to constitutional issues, is its observations about the disqualification of 16 MLAs that will hold key. There are several constitutional experts who have been saying that irrespective of whether there is any decision with respect to disqualification, it is likely that Eknath Shinde may continue for the coming 6 months as well. As of now, we see that both the BJP as well as the Eknath Shinde faction are quite confident with respect to the government. They say not only will there be any possibility of denial of possibility of change in the structure, but also that the government enjoys complete majority. If you understand the number game, Anjali, it's a house of 288 members. The government currently enjoys the support of 164 MLAs. Even if you take off the 16 MLAs whose disqualification is being sought by the Uddhav Thackeray faction right now, we will see that not just does it bring down the denominator, but it then ends up giving an extra edge to the government, which still continues to sail with majority. So the question really is whether there will be a change in the composition of the government and the government continues to stay, or whether the government stays as it is. And that is of prime significance for Maharashtra at this juncture, apart from the several other important things with respect to the constitutional tangles that have been raised by the Uddhav Thackeray faction. Now, remember, the Uddhav Thackeray faction has time and again been saying that this will solely decide whether the rule of law and the rule of the constitution is upheld in this country, and this will be a single key judgment. We have seen the way the marathon hearing did take place in that issue, where questions were raised about Nabia Rebum as well and about its applicability in this specific case. Questions have also been raised on whether the Supreme Court can really go ahead and disqualify MLAs, or whether that will be the jurisdiction of the legislature itself. While speaking to us just last night before boarding his flight to UK, Maharashtra Speaker Rahul Narvekar made it amply clear that there was no question of the judiciary trying to impinge upon the rights of the legislature, and that irrespective of whatever the judgment will be, it will ultimately have to come back to the Speaker to decide on the disqualification plea.
All right, Vinaya, please stay with us. Yasha, coming to you, what is at stake for the Uddhav Sena as well as the Shinde Sena?
So like when I already rightly mentioned, what we've seen is that when the marathon hearing began, clearly the name of the party as well as the symbol fell in the hands of Eknath Shinde. Now after the marathon hearing, what in fact needs to be seen is that the fact that even if there's a disqualification of these 16 MLAs, there would still be a benefit of doubt that Eknath Shinde would get for the next 6 months, wherein he could still gain back his position. A disqualification by the court will clearly not mean that he'd have to leave his chair as CM. We'd seen, in fact, when the Maha Vikas Aghadi government was also formed, it was Uddhav Thackeray was then a CM. He did not have a position, but he got a 6-month period to win in an election, following which his chair would still be maintained. So here, the question is about disqualification when it comes to this particular order. Of course, we'd seen that there were around 40 MLAs who had gone with Eknath Shinde, but however, the first 11 MLAs, post which there was another 12th MLA who initially reached Surat and then Guwahati. So there was a notice which was issued by Shiv Sena, which was then with Uddhav Thackeray, against these people who had gone against him and was with Eknath Shinde. Now this in fact questions the anti-defection law under the 10th schedule of the Constitution. So which is where we see now that on the basis of this this notice which was issued against these MLAs was where Eknath Shinde-led faction had approached Supreme Court. That was the first petition that was filed against by them against Uddhav Thackeray, which is where this entire proceeding started. But when there were three bench which was hearing the Supreme Court, in the Supreme Court was hearing this petition, they thought it was better off to send it off to Constitution bench, which is where now these 5 judges are hearing this entire petition. In fact, when we speak about Justice Chandrachud, the Chief Justice of India's Justice Chandrachud, he's been the one who's given quite landmark judgments even before this, including the Ram Janmabhoomi judgment that was given by him. So here the stake is about the disqualification by them. However, we've seen that the Eknath Shinde as well as the BJP faction seems quite confident, though there were
all right, Yesha, we are getting some more